this is an iHeart podcast.
Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS, with playoff elimination on the line, the most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win to make the playoffs, and breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. 6 teams are alive for 4 spots, and all must win. There's no crying in the Big 3, and the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Presented by iHeart.
Life's messy. We're talking spills, stains, pets, and kids. But with Anababe, you never have to stress about messes again. At WashableSofas.com, discover Anababe sofas, the only fully machine-washable sofas inside and out, starting at just $699. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics. That means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Visit WashableSofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
All right, news roundup and information overload hour. Here's our toll-free telephone number. It is 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. In a minute, we'll get to Greg Jarrett and Brett Tolman. Greg Jarrett has a piece out today. Who could be indicted by a grand jury in the Russia collusion hoax? And he names names. But first, let me play Tulsi Gabbard on Obama's involvement in all of this.
Go to odni.gov, G-O-V. It's all right there for anyone to see. And those who go in and read this will see how President Obama directed that a National Security Council meeting be called to talk about Russia, that the report that came out of that meeting was filled with tasks that were delivered by James Clapper's assistant to John Brennan and to other elements of the intelligence community. John Brennan was the head of the CIA at the time, all saying per the president's direction, per the president's order. And very specifically, they were tasked to create an intelligence assessment that detailed how Moscow tried to influence the election, not if, but how. And this was the beginning of this manufactured intelligence assessment where they knowingly wrote things in this assessment that were false, and they knew they were false. They knew that they were basing it on discredited intelligence or documents like the Steele dossier that was politically motivated and that they knew was false. And this was how they came up with the Russia hoax that was then weaponized and used to try to delegitimize the president, President Trump, and to try to ultimately enact this years-long coup throughout his entire 4 years of his first administration.
Let me give a little context to what Tulsi is saying as part of the declassified information that she released. The first part of this is there was an original intelligence assessment. She's talking here about the intelligence assessment that was ordered after they read the original one that was put together by senior career intelligence officials, released in early December 2016, a postmortem, if you will, on the 2016 election, asking the question if there was any Trump-Russia collusion. Their conclusion, it was finished. There was no Trump-Russia conclusion. That is what our top career intelligence officials determined. And then, as she rightly points out, it was Obama ordering people, not if Russia interfered, how Russia interfered. And then they went about creating a new intelligence assessment report. And it's the new intelligence assessment report that purposely used what had already been completely debunked by that time, and that was the dirty Russian disinformation Hillary Clinton bought and paid for dossier, and other information that they knew to be false, to come up with an assessment. Russia favored Donald Trump and that there was collusion when there never was. They knew there never was. They knew it was false intelligence. So initially, this plan was hatched in July of 2016 for the purposes of smearing and slandering Donald Trump to deflect away from Hillary's own email server problem. They knew it was manufactured, but also the declassified information gave us very pertinent information that, yeah, this will give us a bump out of the convention, but then there'll be accelerant when the FBI runs with this lie as well. And remember, in August of 2016, Bruce Orr warned against using the Steele dossier because it was political in nature, but yet it became the basis for not one but four FISA applications, which ruined Carter Page's life and then was a backdoor way to spy on the Trump campaign, then later his transition team, and then later his presidency. But the fact that all these top officials, and going all the way up to Obama saying not if, but how Russia interfered after the initial assessment said otherwise, is breathtaking to me. Greg Jarrett is with us, Fox News legal analyst, New York Times bestselling author. He wrote 2 bestselling books on this very topic. And Brett Tolman is with us, former federal prosecutor, served for U.S. Attorney of Utah. Greg, I loved your article today. Who could be indicted by a grand jury in the Russia collusion hoax? This is something you wrote about, 7 years ago?
Yeah, 7 years ago, and then the sequel 6 years ago, Witch Hunt. And I laid out how Brennan, Comey, and Clapper were untruthful in their congressional testimony. And you've identified it. They insisted that the dossier was never a part of the intelligence assessment, and they were incredibly devious about it, Sean. They actually erased or expunged the section of the intelligence assessment in which they relied on the dossier. They provided to Congress and the public a sanitized version of it. They literally took it out and then testified, we didn't rely on it, it's not in there. Well, turns out the newly declassified documents show a clean original version in which it's in the body of the ICA. Now, that strikes me as a lawyer as a deliberate falsehood. It's a lie. And so if you're testifying under oath, that's perjury. And if it's not under oath, it's nevertheless a false, fraudulent statement. Both carry the same punishment up to 5 years in prison. And if you conspire together to do that, it's a conspiracy, which only doubles down on the penalties.
Brett Tolman, let's get your view on this matter.
Well, nobody's really talking about Barack Obama being charged, right? We are assuming presidential, executive immunity applies. But I say, so what? Let's put him in the grand jury. If the conspiracy, started while he was president, it certainly continued when he was no longer president. I want to see him answer about communications that he had after. What did he communicate with Comey? What were the emails or the text messages? Because this is Obama, who was the only president in our lifetime who stayed in Washington, D.C. when he was done serving as president. Why did he do that? Because he knew he had an opportunity to try to control the government. A shadow government was what he was pushing for. So I would love to see the use of the grand jury to robustly investigate all of the conspiracy, including President Obama, and who he communicated with after he was president.
Greg, let's go back to your column. Who could be indicted by this grand jury in the Russia collusion hoax? Who?
Well, in addition to Brennan, Comey, and Clapper, which we just discussed, there are other people who were involved at the CIA, the FBI, the Office of National Intelligence, and some of these people were coerced into doing it. They would probably, as witnesses, ask for immunity. And their testimony would be valuable. They might get conditional immunity. But there are others. And, for example, we've already seen some of their emails who warned Brennan in particular, you're using bogus information, the dossier, don't do it. There's no other credible evidence to justify this revised intelligence assessment. those people, and I think there are probably at least a handful, if not a dozen, will happily step forward before a grand jury and implicate not just Comey, but Brennan, but Comey and Clapper as well. But, the list is a long one. I identify in my column today, the Hillary Clinton campaign, not just Hillary herself, but those who were in on it. I think a critical witness is Julianne Smith. It was Smith, according to the Durham Annex, that proposed the entire fictitious collusion scheme that Hillary approved on July 26, 2016. And, Smith was questioned by Durham's investigators and said, well, I don't specifically remember, but it's possible I did that. Well, being placed in legal jeopardy in front of a grand jury, she may have a sudden memory recollection. And, that would be a critical witness. But I've also identified Jake Sullivan, the attorney Mark Elias, Robbie Mook, John Podesta. These are all critical people who, to me, appear to have been involved in conjuring up the hoax and spreading the lie. And their testimony, I think, would be important because they're also in legal jeopardy. I wouldn't be surprised if they, too, would take the fifth.
All right, quick break. Right back. More with Greg Jarrett, Brett Tolman on the other side, and your calls coming up. Final half hour, 800-941-SEAN, if you want to be a part of the program as we continue.
Life's messy. We're talking spills, stains, pets, and kids. But with Anabae, you never have to stress about messes again. At WashableSofas.com, discover Anabae sofas, the only fully machine-washable sofas inside and out, starting at just $699. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics. That means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Visit WashableSofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
All right, how many times have you told someone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Now, that's great advice for most things, but not so much for your cell phone. Look, likely over time, the battery will fade, the processor can't keep up, and maybe it's even fallen in the toilet one too many times. Now, fortunately, thanks to Pure Talk, your cell phone is something you can replace without feeling guilty. When you switch to Pure Talk this month, they're going to give you a Samsung Galaxy A36 for free with a $35 qualifying plan. Just $35 a month for talk and text and data and a free Samsung phone with scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass and a battery that lasts all day. It's all on America's most dependable 5G network. Look, supporting companies like Pure Talk is a good thing. Now make the switch. It's simple, it's fast, it's easy. Go to puretalk.com/Sean, S-E-A-N to get your free phone today. puretalk.com/Sean, S-E-A-N. Make the switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk.
Hey guys, this is Lisa Booth from The Truth with Lisa Booth. Are you feeling tired, foggy, or low on energy lately? It might not just be stress. Your cells could be running low on fuel. That's why more people are turning to NAD Plus and Methylene Blue, two powerful solutions that help boost energy, clear brain fog, and get you feeling sharp again. If that sounds like you or something you've been wanting to explore, check out All Family Pharmacy. They make it easy with fast shipping, no insurance needed, and the doctor's prescription included with every order. They're helping people think clearer, feel better, and finally get their energy back. And it doesn't stop there. This is your go-to pharmacy with over 200 medications available, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and even your daily meds. You choose what you need, they take care of the rest. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/USA and use code USA10 to save 10% today. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/USA with coupon code USA10.
The reviews and ratings are in, and Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS, with playoff elimination on the line, the stars will be flocking to Los Angeles to witness the most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win over Houston to make the playoffs, reeling from last week's savage beating at the hands of Chicago's possessed Montrezl Harrell. Last time these teams met, Miami beat Houston, but they are a dangerous team having their manhood at stake. Then breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. Will LA avenge their previous shocking loss to perennial basketball Boston rivals to survive? 6 teams are allowed for 4 spots, and all must win. Don't miss the Big 3, the 3-on-3 basketball league everyone is talking about. There's no crying in the Big 3, and the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, followed by 2 games on Vice starting at 6:30 Eastern, presented by iHeart.
Prepare to be safe and stay safe whether you're at home or away this summer. Sig Sauer is the world's leading manufacturer of firearms, optics, ammunition, and suppressors. Carrying a firearm in the summertime, that can be tricky. Wearing T-shirts, shorts, light clothes in the summer heat, well, that doesn't mean you still can't protect yourself. Not with America's #1 selling concealed carry pistol, and that's the Sig Sauer P365. And now through September the 1st, all summer, you get $100 in SIG cash when you buy any P365 model. By the way, I own one myself. Now, Sig Sauer firearms, optics, and suppressors include the industry's unique and only infinite guarantee. If something breaks, they're going to fix it. And if they can't fix it, they'll replace it. It's fully transferable forever. Get $100 in SIG cash for holsters, ammunition, flashlights, optics, whatever you need to stay protected all summer long. Just go to sigsauer.com/Hannity today. That's SIGSAUER.com/Hannity today. All right, we continue now. Who might be indicted by a grand jury over the Russia hoax? We continue with Greg Jarrett and Brett Tolman. Let's talk a little bit now about this issue of immunity, Brett, that you brought up, because conventional wisdom is that presidential immunity in the decision, the Supreme Court decision, as it related to President Trump, would apply to President Obama. And there's one maybe slight bit of difference. I know everyone thinks that would apply, but is it really part of the duties of the President of the United States to subvert or sabotage intelligence or manufacture false intelligence for the purpose of hurting a successor?
Well, Sean, I think you hit on the point that this country needs to be talking about. And yes, the Supreme Court did clarify that the government could not use in a prosecution the evidence of his communications while he was president. But he's outside the bounds of what, his executive power is. You never have executive power to commit a conspiracy to interfere in an election. So because of that, I think the focus needs to be on, was he part of the conspiracy still when he left as president? That's the cleanest case. You don't have to worry about litigating what he said and what he did when he was president. But when he's no longer president, are there overt acts by him or communications in furtherance of the conspiracy? It is highly unlikely that he just left as president of the United States and didn't continue to try to orchestrate what we know was an attack on President Trump while he was president to try to pull him down and delegitimize his presidency. So if that's the case, conspiracy continues on well past when it's first committed, and it involves individuals that may not necessarily know, like Greg points out properly, they may not know they're really part of this conspiracy, but there are those that did, and what were those overt acts? And President Obama was at the helm of this, so he needs to be put in front of the grand jury. Let him take the fifth while he's in the grand jury, and let the American people see that he has a lot to hide after he was president of the United States.
What's your take on that, Greg Jarrett, his post-presidency actions?
Well, if he's claiming that he has broad immunity for official acts, not unofficial, but official acts, he's no longer in jeopardy before a grand jury, right? Because he's got immunity. If he claims immunity, he has to tell the truth because he's no longer in jeopardy. He was knee deep in all of this. The new records show that he pressured Comey to clear Hillary Clinton of her obvious email crimes. I think that's well accepted.
Yeah, he didn't want this to, put a stain on his presidency.
That's right. And then he actively joined the plot to push the phony collusion narrative that Hillary had instigated. And he was a principal player engineering that counterfeit case against Trump by altering or massaging the intelligence. I agree with Brett's analysis. I think he should be called. Hillary Clinton absolutely must be called. And, if she's not telling the truth in front of the grand jury and the documents and testimony of others undermine her and demonstrate that she's lying, there could be a new charge against her, lying to a grand jury. So, all of these people, it strikes me, are in a world of hurt. And by the way,
I would bet they're all going to plead the fifth, but I have to run real quick.
I know they think that this is going to happen in Washington, D.C. I disagree. I think it's going to happen
Florida.
in Florida, based on an overarching criminal conspiracy that extends to the Mar-a-Lago raid. So I think the grand jury will be, or already is, in the state of Florida.
Be fascinating. Wouldn't it be great if I got called? I'd be very fair and balanced. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in the rule of law. That's the problem. They don't want people like me on a grand jury or on a jury altogether. Anyway, Brett, thank you. Greg, Jarrett, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
I know we see a ceasefire in Israel, but if you ask the people of Israel if they're feeling peace, you're going to get a very different story. Bombed out homes, complete neighborhoods, families torn apart, kids, they can't play outside. The violence may have slowed. The fear has not. You have tens and tens of thousands of Israelis that have been displaced. They have no homes to go back to. And the IFCJ, they are on the ground. They're providing all the humanitarian assistance possible, food, water, medicines, clothing, shelter, you name it. They're also building bomb shelters in anticipation of the likely next attack. And whatever you can do to help in this mission to help Israel in their time of need, as they've been fighting for their very survival, is beyond appreciative, especially at a time where we see rising virulent hatred, anti-Semitism. The people that would blame Israel for this is remarkable to me. The people that would look at this guy digging his own grave inside one of these terror tunnels is unbelievable to me. Any suffering that is happening in Gaza is a direct result of the terrorist organization Hamas that wasted money on a network of terror tunnels and rockets that they've been firing into Israel, killing Israelis, and fomenting terror throughout the entire region. Anyway, please help the IFCJ. The need is great. Just go to ifcj.org. That's ifcj.org today. All right, 25 now till the top of the hour. We're going to go to the Oval Office while we were doing our debate with Greg Jarrett moments ago and Brett Tolman. The president, as we had anticipated, we thought this was going to take place at 4:30, meeting with Apple. And it's actually pretty amazing what they're offering, Tim Cook, and talking about $600 billion in investment in manufacturing here in America. Let's go to the Oval Office. Howard Lutnick and the Treasury Secretary Besson are also in the room. Let's listen in.
Behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this, horrible person. This afternoon, we're pleased to welcome to the White House one of the great and most esteemed business leaders and geniuses and innovators anywhere in the world, Apple CEO Tim Cook. It's an amazing job. Thanks as well to Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick for being here, wherever you may be. Oh, there you are. Hello, fellas. I missed you. Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home. $600 billion. It's the biggest there is. The company is also unveiling its ambitious new American manufacturing program, which will bring factories and assembly lines across our country all roaring to life. Areas that were not doing so well are doing very well. We have about $17 trillion coming into the United States, which is more than ever before. That's never even come close. There's never been anything like it. Even you, that's even a lot of money for you. But we have commitments of more than $17 trillion. That was as of a couple of weeks ago. These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. I did very well in Kentucky, but it's a great place. You're going to be very happy. I thought maybe while we're up, I'll interrupt my own speech by you might show them a little bit about the product that you're going to be doing in Kentucky, Tim.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I step up?
Yes, please.
This box was made here in the U.S., California, and this glass comes off the Corning line. It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique unit of one. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple now.
Looks good. He's done well.
Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold. And it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
Wow.
Well, let's see. There we go. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Mr. President. Thank you so much.
The great people of Kentucky. You're going to find it a great place to do business, too. It's fantastic. Isn't that nice? We're doing these things now in the United States instead of other countries, faraway countries. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon. That's big stuff. Apple will also open state-of-the-art manufacturing economy. It's going to be a manufacturing academy in Detroit, and that's a great place to do. Well, you know, big things are happening in Michigan and Detroit. They're coming in because of what we've done with the, I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I added one word, great. But we have probably the biggest, most comprehensive piece of legislation ever passed. It's going to mean unbelievable numbers of jobs and no jobs on, think of this, whether it's tips or overtime or Social Security, no tax. So no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And there's just a small bit of it. For Apple and others businesses, we're talking about the deductions and all of the things. And actually for people that go out and buy a car, first time it's ever been done, we talk about deductions for companies, but they're going to be able to deduct interest when they borrow money to buy a car if it's made in America. It has to be made in America. So it is amazing. And one of the reasons I think I can say that Apple's coming here is the legislation we just passed with this kind of investment. Apple will also open other facilities, rare earth magnets from Texas, and build, oh, I love that you're doing this. I love that. I love that. And build a brand new rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. I know that area. That's where they have a lot of truly rare earth. That's fantastic. I love that. And Apple will help develop and manufacture semiconductors and semiconductor equipment in Texas, Utah, Arizona, and New York. For years, Americans have watched as many of our leading tech giants built their factories overseas and exported American jobs abroad. But under the Trump administration, we're doing everything possible to make this the best place on earth to build a factory or grow businesses. I'm allowing them to build electric producing plants with their factory, because otherwise they'd have to hook into the grid. And I think it's one of the biggest things we've done, where you can build, Tim, your own electricity. You become your own electric manufacturer, and that goes along with the plant. So you become a utility. So congratulations, now you're in the utility. I hope they don't value your company based on utility, but that's okay. You're going to be making your own electricity. And as you probably know, for much of this and many of the things that we're doing, especially the AI, they would need actually double the electricity that the country now produces for everything. So it's massive electric, and they're going to be able to make their own, and they're getting very fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a fantastic job, including with a 100% expensing on the one big, beautiful bill. In return, we're asking our businesses to invest in America, and they're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. So I don't know when it shows up, but there are a lot of factories and a lot of plants that are either under construction or soon will be starting construction. So can't tell you exactly when, but I want to be around in about a year from now and 2 years from now, because we're going to see an explosion, I think, like this country has never seen before. Never. Today's announcement is one of the largest commitments in what has become among the greatest investment booms in our nation's history, and we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. You know, I told you the story that, and Tim, I'll tell you, but I went to the Middle East, and I was with Qatar, I was with UAE and the King of Saudi Arabia, all great leaders. And then I went to NATO and saw many great leaders, and we just finished that about 4 weeks ago. Virtually everyone said, in effect, that we were a dead country 1 year ago. America, this was a dead country. We were dying, we were dead. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. This would have never happened except for certain people. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. NVIDIA is investing $500 billion to go along with Apple, $600 billion. $600 billion. Micron, great company, is investing $200 billion. IBM is investing more than $150 billion. SoftBank is investing substantially more than $100 billion. TSMC is investing $200 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Merck, Stellantis, and General Motors are putting many, many billions in. They haven't determined the final number. And many other countries are investing tens of billions of dollars that I'm not going to give you the whole list because the list is too long to read. But it's hundreds of billions and even trillions. I mean, it's trillions of dollars that's being invested right now. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at 3% in the second quarter, and consumer confidence is surging. Blue-collar wages are rising rapidly. Costs are way down. You know, I listen to these horrendous frauds on CNN and various other fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now. Many places other than California where they tax you out of business, but and a couple of others. But gasoline is way down. The price of groceries are down. How about eggs? When I first came here, my first week, the press hit me very hard on eggs. Eggs had quadrupled or something. I said, I didn't know about it. Give me a chance. I've just been here for 4 days. Well, eggs are down. Everything's down. Price is down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. That's really up, and that's through the roof. The stock market has been hitting all-time records, all-time highs. Last week it was announced that our economy grew at levels that we haven't seen in a long time, but the real levels of growth are going to be judged in a year from now when you start seeing some of these incredible plants, because we have car plants opening. They're coming in from Canada, from Mexico, and from all over the world. And they're coming in because they like the way the election worked out, but they also like the fact that they don't want to pay tariffs. And the tariffs, I think, will be we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I won't be so specific other than to say, because we don't even know what the final number is. We just made a deal, as you know, with the EU where they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars. Japan paying hundreds of billions of dollars, and numerous other countries paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not even completed there. And as you know, they found 25 billion 3 weeks ago. They said, we have a surplus of $25 billion. And they said, where did this come from? I said, check the tariffs. And they checked. They said, you're right. That's where it came from. And we've really just started. This is just in its infancy. So we have a great country. We have a country that is going to be very rich. It's a country that we're very proud of, but it's going to be very rich. And it's companies like Apple. They're coming home. They're all coming home. And we want them to come home. They have to come home. We're going to treat them really well. We're going to be putting a very large tariff on chips and semiconductors. But the good news for companies like Apple is if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge. In other words, we're not going to be charging. So a lot of countries, a lot of companies are leaving various other places and they're coming to the United States. So in other words, we'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and all of the things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. So I just want everyone to know that. And I didn't even tell you that inside. We discussed the concept, but I didn't. So it's a big factor. So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff. Okay?
All right, for stations along the Sean Hannity Show radio network, we're going to stay with our coverage of President Trump with CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, and his big announcement, $600 billion in investment in manufacturing in the U.S. As the president expands out the discussion, he claims $17 trillion in total on commitments as we continue our coverage along the network.
Say you're building and you don't build, then we go back and we add it up. It accumulates and we charge you at a later date. You have to pay, and that's a guarantee. So that's a big statement, and I think the chip companies are all coming back home. They're all coming back. You know, we started with Intel, and gradually Intel was just taken over the coals. They were taken to the cleaners, frankly, and moved to other places, in particular Taiwan. But I think a lot of those companies are coming back, and they're coming back very rapidly. So that's a big statement. 100% tariff. I want to thank you very much, Tim. Would you like to say a few words about your company, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. You've been a great advocate for American innovation and manufacturing. I'm grateful for your leadership and your commitment. That's a commitment we share at Apple because American innovation is central to everything we do. Our products are designed here, we're hiring and growing here, and we support 450,000 jobs with thousands of suppliers and partners in all 50 states. Earlier this year, we made our largest ever spending commitment, $500 billion to the U.S. over the next 4 years. That's already yielding results. Earlier this year, we broke ground on a new factory in Houston to make advanced AI servers. And just last month, the very first test unit rolled off that factory's line, proudly made in America. President Trump shared some kind words about that work, but he also asked us to think about what more we could commit to doing. And Mr. President, we took that challenge very seriously. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that today we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years. As a part of this, we're launching Apple's American Manufacturing Program. It will spur even more production right here in America for critical components used in Apple products all around the world. And we're thrilled to announce that we've already signed new agreements with 10 companies across America to do just that. First, with today's announcements, I'm proud to say that Apple is leading the creation of an end-to-end silicon supply chain right here in America, from design to equipment to wafer production to fabrication to packaging. In Texas, we're working with manufacturers like Texas Instruments, Global Wafers America, and Applied Materials. We're working with Amcor in Arizona and Broadcom and Global Foundries in New York. Thanks to President Trump's vision, and with his help in his first term, we also led the way to bring TSMC to Arizona by committing to be their first and largest customer. Today, they're producing tens of millions of chips for Apple using one of the most advanced process technologies in America today. We're going to keep working with our suppliers to move even more of this incredibly advanced work to America. And this year alone, American manufacturers are on track to make 19 billion chips for Apple in 24 factories across 12 different states. Second, we're committed to buying American-made advanced rare earth magnets developed by MP Materials, which will become part of Apple's devices shipped around the world. MP is the only fully integrated rare earth producer in the United States, and with this partnership, they'll be significantly expanding their flagship facility in Fort Worth, Texas. We're also thrilled to work together on a cutting-edge rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. And third, in Kentucky, we've worked with our partners at Corning to build the world's largest and most advanced smartphone glass production line. And I'm pleased to announce that very soon, this is for the first time ever, every single new iPhone and every single new Apple Watch sold anywhere in the world will contain cover glass made in Kentucky. In addition to the American Manufacturing Program, we're also significantly growing our investments in AI, including expanding data center capacity in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Iowa, in Arizona, and Oregon. So we're going to keep making investments right here in America. We're going to keep hiring in America. And we're going to keep building technologies at the heart of our products right here in America. Because we're a proud American company, and we believe deeply in the promise of this great nation. Thank you all, and thank you, President Trump, for putting American innovation and American jobs front and center. Thank you, sir.
Great honor.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What a job he's done. What a job. Incredible. I want to thank you very much, and thank you, JD, for helping along. Good job. Really good job. Any questions, please?
Mr. President,
yes.
You promised on the campaign trail to bring forth a manufacturing renaissance. You just mentioned $17 trillion in your first 7 months or so. Can you talk about how an investment like this, all the other ones that you laid out, will positively impact the millions of Americans that trusted you with their vote?
Thank you very much. It changes our country. I mean, our country is a very different country than it was 6 months ago. And people like Tim are coming. We had Micron in yesterday. We had all of the big, great companies that you read about, you don't know about, but you read about. Many of them were making products outside of our country. Foolishly, we lost them. If we had the right person sitting in that seat, that would have never happened 20 and 30 years ago. When you look at the chip business, it would have never left our shores. We had 100% of chips originally, and then we slowly got taken down to nothing. We have the biggest chip companies, to both of them, but we have the biggest in the world coming in. They're going to Arizona and beyond. And we're going to have, in a short period of time, we'll be up to almost 50% of the chips from starting in nothing. And that's something. But we have the greatest companies in the world coming into our country, and that means jobs, and it means wealth, and wealth means security for our people. Okay?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Congratulations on this investment, President Trump.
Thank you.
What a great example of putting America first. What does the labor force look like to fill these jobs that you have? Do we have enough skilled American workers to fill this?
Well, we do have a lot of workers, and we have a lot of workers that hadn't been looking for work because they were disincentivized, frankly. And people like Tim have tremendous schools and training centers that they build along with a lot of their big plants where they train people on whether it's glass, like in Kentucky, or computers, or whatever they might be doing. It's a complex world, and they train people, and they do a great job. So it's a whole new workforce. Now, we have a lot of them.
Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS, with playoff elimination on the line, the most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win to make the playoffs, and breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. 6 teams are alive for 4 spots, and all must win. There's no crying in the Big 3, and the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Presented by iHeart.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? WashableSofas.com has your back. Featuring the Anabay collection, the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slipcovers made with performance fabrics. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Check out WashableSofas.com and get up to 60% off your Anabay sofa, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
This is an iHeart podcast.